Letting go of broken relationships. Welcome to this month's Patron's Choice video. You're here with Paul from Aspergers from the Inside. I make weekly videos sharing the human side of autism, occasionally sharing also my experience and expertise in emotional intelligence and relationship coaching. So this video today is going to be a little bit messy. I started off trying to find a nice, neat, logical, concise, effective, efficient way to deal with the topic of letting go of broken relationships. And I quickly realized that it just doesn't work like that. Relationships are messy, especially breakups are really messy. And there is no neat, clean, ordered, logical, comfortable way to deal with this topic, unfortunately, because that's, a lot of us would much prefer that. So I know that for me, one of the reasons that makes it so difficult to let go of a relationship is that I'm really good at holding on to a relationship. I'm really good at trying hard, doing my best, doing everything that I possibly can to try and keep a relationship going, to attempt to maintain the relationship. And I spoke about this in my previous video on the endless chain of broken relationships. One of the reasons for a lot of broken relationships is because one person cannot hold a relationship together. It requires two people. So when I end up trying too hard and taking on too much responsibility for holding the relationship together, ironically, that actually makes it even more likely that it's going to break down. So if I am so good then at putting in effort to hold a relationship together, when it becomes apparent that it's over and I need to do a massive 180-degree shift from putting all my energy into holding on and maintaining the relationship to putting all my energy into letting it go, that's really, really challenging. Especially if there is even the smallest chance that the relationship might not be over, because then it feels like letting go is giving up, and I'm not good at giving up. I'm good at persisting and being really stubborn. You can phrase these skills or traits or characteristics positively or negatively. I can be really, really stubborn. I can be really, really persistent. What's the difference? It depends on the context and if it's actually useful. So you may have noticed this video today is going to be a little bit more raw. I promised myself that I would just keep going through to the end, and it's going to be a bit messy, and we're going to get there. So how do we let go when we've put all of this energy into trying to hold it together? So today I essentially want to share two main concepts from acceptance commitment therapy, which I'll outline a little bit later. So when I get to the point of giving up, there are a number of thoughts and feelings that all kind of come together at the same time, right? Tell me if any of these are familiar to you. If you've ever lost either a romantic partner or even a friendship, right, can still feel the same. It feels like it's not fair. I put in so much work in this relationship and now it's gone. That's not fair. It feels like I'll never find somebody. I'll never find a real friend. I'll never find someone who can accept me, or I'll never be able to be the kind of person who can maintain a relationship. Everything that I do is wrong. Everything that I try backfires. What else, right? What's the point of even trying when all of these things inevitably happen no matter how hard I try? These kind of thoughts actually make the situation significantly worse. So here's the concept, and I'll recommend a book called The Happiness Trap by Russ Harris that describes this really well. The concept is called clean discomfort versus, I guess the opposite must be dirty discomfort or something like that. When you've gone through a breakup, of course, you're going to be upset. You're going to be grieving the loss of something that you had. You're going to be frustrated and tired and lonely and all of these negative things. And it's important to feel all of those things and to sit with all of those emotions and to let them go through you so you can actually express them and release them. However, there are all of these additional things that our mind puts onto the situation. So not only is it, I'm sad because I can't spend time with this person anymore, all of a sudden it's, I'm sad because I feel like I will never ever meet someone ever again in my entire life, right? You can hear the extreme black and white thinking there, thinking that this will never ever ever happen. And that thought is really scary and really hopeless, essentially. So if I'm reacting to the thought of I never do anything right and everything I try turns, never works out, and I'm not ever going to have a partner or a friend, then I'm trying to deal with something much, much, much bigger than what is actually happening right now, right here in the present moment. So in the present moment, I'm sad because I'm alone, and I'm sad because I've lost a relationship with a person. But instead of grieving that, I'm grieving 20 years into the future of I'm not going to ever be able to meet someone. So that's called, the clean discomfort is dealing with what you're feeling right now in the moment. And when we add a layer of thoughts and judgments onto that, then we end up trying to deal with the future as well as the present, which becomes significantly more difficult. So one of the ways to more effectively deal with the present is to just focus on what is happening right now, rather than listening to all of those thoughts and worries about the future as well. So the second concept from the happiness trap is around sitting with emotions. And you can think about this in terms of, if I want to let an emotion go, I have to let it be free, essentially. Instead of I don't want to hold on to it, and I don't want to stop it from coming in. Because if I'm ignoring an emotion, if I'm avoiding it or suppressing it or repressing it, it's a little bit like it's standing out the door and it's knocking and it's wanting to come in, and it's got a really important message for me. And if I don't listen to it, then it's gonna be there, and I'm gonna have to be fighting against it forever, because it's not going to go away. Whereas if I let it free, it's going to come in, it's going to make me feel a certain way, and then once the message has been delivered, it's going to go away by itself. And so that's what it looks like to let go of an emotion. You're allowing it, you have to allow it in so that you can allow it out as well. So a trap that a lot of us get into, it's really easy to try and get out of feeling sad by trying to feel happy, whereas actually a lot of the time the only way out is through, essentially. So another thing that I've noticed in our community, and I know this was the case for me as well, is I would often essentially put all of my eggs in one basket when it came to relationships. I would strongly rely on one friend or strongly rely on my partner at the expense of friends, so that when that relationship, notice I accidentally said when that relationship breaks down. That tells you something about my past history that I'm working on. It does not have to be that way. If that relationship breaks down, then you're left with absolutely nothing, because you put all of your energy into that one person, and one person will eventually let you down. Whereas another way to do it is to spread out your support network. So instead of relying on one place, it relies on lots of different places. So what that looks like is a group of friends, a family, a community, something like that, so that whenever one of those people is unavailable, or whenever one of those ties goes away, you've still got the support of the others. And this is another common relationship trap that it's easy to fall into. When we go through a breakup, I know the biggest relationship breakdown that I had, someone told me, don't worry, in a year or two, you'll be over it. I'm like, a year or two? I need to find someone else right now. How am I going to survive if I don't find someone to be my partner right now? And what I realized in hindsight is if I had just found someone else to replace that gap, I wouldn't have learnt anything, and I would have been straight back to square one at the beginning of the rejection and relationship breakdown cycle, because I didn't learn anything and I didn't listen to my emotions, and I was just allowing the pattern to go through again. So that's why sometimes it's good to take a break from especially romantic relationships, and instead focus on looking after yourself and bringing up that support network. And ironically, well, I don't know if ironically is the right word, but it actually helps significantly to let go of the relationship that's in the past if you've got something to focus on in the future that is not just about trying to find a new relationship. So I might try and wrap up there. Hopefully I've made some sense and this has been helpful. Like I said, this is a really complicated topic to try and go through in a structured way, because sometimes it just takes time. There is such a thing as clean emotions that are 100% necessary to sit with and feel and express and let them pass through you. And that's the most emotionally healthy thing you can do, to pass through and let it go as quickly as possible. So that's essentially the message of these two techniques that I've shared with you from the Happiness Trap. And I can give you a link to that book if you're interested in reading more about acceptance commitment therapy. Because, yeah, as I mentioned, it's easy to try and stop emotions, but the best way is, okay, I'm repeating myself now. So I hope that's been helpful. If you're after more about emotions and learning how to manage your own emotions, I've created an emotional intelligence course on Emotions Explained. That's a self-guided course if you're interested in more than that. And there's also a free webinar coming up on how to learn emotional intelligence, which I would strongly recommend you check out, also via the website at www.emotionsexplained.com.au. So hopefully that's been helpful. I promised myself I would just keep going through this video. Yes, it's messy. Yes, I can't believe how much I've repeated myself, but it's a messy topic. So I hope it's been helpful. If you'd like to have your say in next month's Patron's Choice video, you can become a Cup of Coffee supporter of this channel for less than $1 a week. So consider that. And I will see you next week. Bye.